This and the squares on the wire. I look around, my friends was gone. Don't know what I done, must have been wrong. Now all I've got left, my silly little songs, and I'm from hiding. Well, I'm from hiding. Call me up, I'll give you what you need.
Thank you, Matt. I'm fully prepared to see a whole bunch of not funny things all night, so I'm not going to steal my thunder. Good! Right off the bat! Well done, Brian. It's a great pleasure to be here. It's a great pleasure once again this year to be part of the Iowa City Book Festival. A very sanctified and saccharine thing that we work very hard to tear a fresh new one and give it a kick in the nuts it so deserves. So it's really great for me, particularly personally, to be back here at the Trumpet Blossom and back here in Iowa City. I have been away for 5 months. I was in Chicago, and I figured this is a great opportunity for me to come back, be surrounded by my friends, and make fun of them, just as I do anyway, but you make it easier for me because you all come to the same place. So thank you very much for that. In fact, when I was gone, I just literally came back Thursday, and as I was crossing the bridge over the Mississippi, I actually got some tears in my eyes. It was so touching. It had nothing to do with sentimentality. It was just that fucking blinding western sun. Really, can we get some pollution out here like they have in Chicago? Makes it pink and pretty and like livable. Because quite honestly, if I'm going to go blind or die in a single car accident, I'd like to be a result of my personal habits and not because I'm driving like this. So get on it. Enough of this green stuff. Go get a Hummer tomorrow. Burn some tires. The polar bears had a nice run. But it's really great to be here, and I'm very pleased and honored, as Matt already mentioned, to have Dave with us on stage. You know, it's always been one of my great life dreams to share the stage with one of the most talented, prolific, and creative musicians in the state of Iowa. And until that happens, I'm glad that Dave is here to fill it in. And of course, welcoming back Brian, who did the drums for us at our very first Roast of Iowa City 4 years ago now at Prairie Lights, where at that time he was working off a community service requirement, playing drums in a bookstore, and believe it or not, he's in trouble again. You wouldn't guess it by looking at him, but he recently robbed a barber shop, so go figure. But you know, as I told him when we were outside, no one ever came to see anything because of the drummer. But it is great, of course, to be here at the Trumpet Blossom, which is a very aptly named place because, in fact, the very first time that I ever ate here, shortly after they opened, a Trumpet Blossom was the exact shape of the stain in my underwear. So eat up, enjoy, it's good for you, I promise. And it's a short program, you can get home before that happens to you. So, and this is also a new, not just a new venue for us this year, but it's a new time of year. Previously, the Iowa City Book Festival was always the tail end of the dog days of August, and it was just so ungodly hot. I remember walking around last couple of years at the events, and I'm seeing this, reading, and that, and the whole day I'm drinking water. I get home, and it dawns on me, I haven't eaten all day. I go into the bathroom, and clink, a bouillon cube comes out. So I'm really happy that it's much more appropriate weather for this sort of thing. And also, have you seen people who read a lot walking around in shorts? Have you seen it? It's creepy. It's like The Walking Dead, except more pretentious. So I'm very glad that everyone's able to come and join us with a few more clothes on. But I'm just glad I'm here. As a matter of fact, this afternoon I went out to Dave's place, which somehow is the only part of Johnson County that's in the mountain time zone. And it's true. His road you're driving on, and it goes from like paved to graded to gravel to dirt to don't somehow. It just says no cars past this point. So I'm very grateful to come back. And as Matt mentioned, they are going to Italy tomorrow, which is very exciting. That's a big opportunity for them, a big tour. The thing is, don't tell anybody. Everybody in Italy thinks that that's David Hasselhoff. So keep that under your vest. But I was away, but I did follow the news. I did read the Press Citizen as often as I can, so I count as one of their 10 readers. And the big story that caught my attention of late was there's all this Sturm und Drang about people begging and pooping and screaming and yelling and drinking on the Pedmo, and I said, fuck yeah, it's about time they close that goddamn playground. But apparently they're talking about something else, and I was down there this afternoon, and I didn't see any bums at all, but I see you're all here now, so I guess that's something of a mixed blessing. But without further ado, it's my great and distinct pleasure and honor to bring to the stage a woman who is making her showbiz debut right here at the Trumpet Blossom Cafe. Gloria Kotick, ladies and gentlemen. She's 83 years old. This is her first time doing something like this, and I was talking to her beforehand. She made me promise not to tell what I know, to keep it a secret. If you're into Hawkeye sports and all that kind of stuff, she was Niall Kinnick's first. So, talking to her about that. I'm bringing her up first, doing her piece. It's short. You don't make a heart background. It's short and it's sweet and it's really like a benediction, so I wanted to have her go first. And also, at her age, I'm not sure if she lived through the entirety of the program. So ladies and gentlemen, big applause for Gloria Kotick.
Creative in Iowa City too, okay? Okay, here's my limerick. I live in the city of lit. Every home has a resident wit. Be it poetry or prose, the sheer genius just flows. What an honor to live here, no shit.
I guess once you move into octogenarian territory, there is no filter. And you probably wouldn't find it anyway, just like your peas. But thank you so much. Our next reader is a gentleman who's actually been a part of a number of these roasts now. He makes a living as a voiceover artist, which is good because he's got just the most singularly ridiculous name. It's really good that nobody knows it when they see him. His name is P.J. Stoppleworth. And I just keep thinking of like Mrs. Butterworth, this and that. So if anybody wants to open up like a colonial Williamsburg themed like anti-diarrheal medication, put him in an outfit that looks like Sam Adams mascot holding a cork, guaranteed to stop. That is your man. It's P.J. Stoppleworth. Welcome to the stage. Come on up, P.J. It's a great pleasure to have you back. Once again, thank you.
I think it's going to be my retirement plan, you know, to help a brainstorm. Hi, my name's BJ. This is what the nightlife looks like at the nation's #1 party school. I guess happy, well-dressed, and attentive are the new passing out and vomit while shitting yourself. Good to see, thank you. I need to ask a favor before I start pissing off, so please, if you could, a round of applause for everybody working tonight at the Trumpet Blossom. It takes a strong sense of self to work at a cafe named after Dizzy Gillespie's cold sore. Now, I'm glad we're here, but I have to say there are some problems with the service. I'm still waiting for my steak with a side of pork chops. Our waitress said something vegan something. Look, I don't care where you go to church, just bring me a ribeye. I mean, this is cool. I like this place. I don't know what happened to the meal, but fuck them if they can't take our jokes. Now, how about a round of applause tonight for your host, Yale Cohn? What a happy homecoming. You might not know this, but Yale is the youngest curmudgeon in the Midwest, and he enjoys performing stand-up comedy, which, you know, I'm not sure about. A Jewish comedian, would that ever work? I love the Iowa City Festival of Books. Unfortunately, I had a gig this weekend and I missed most of it, but it's cool. I already knew that Snape killed Dumbledore. But I did miss the Tom Clancy retrospective and announcement of a new 4-book deal. And I really dig roast because where else can a mean, bitter asshole like myself get invited to speak my mind as long as I stick a punchline at the end? But seriously, all week I've been looking forward to a night with the most well-read, cerebral, and intellectual people in Iowa City. And I really hope they show up after the Turgenev reading is over. All right, I love this. People who have had only 1,000 words to do it, so we should probably get started. Mostly because of the University of Iowa's students, medical workers, and the jagoffs from wealthy Chicago suburbs. Iowa City has a large rental market. Have you ever rented in this town? You have to fill out an application. The last time we did it, it was only one question. How far can you bend over and how wide can you spread? You start out, and you have to provide your own loot or get fined $200. You sign here, here, and here, and initial where it says tenant is responsible for reach-arounds. The worst landlord we had was the one man I regret not punching. And he's dead now, so I can't get that one back. The best landlord we had, we still sued. Best is a relative term for landlords in this town. I'm proud that my partner and I, well, mostly her, are 3-0 in small claims against Iowa City landlords. And, if I may smugly add, we were suing landlords before it was cool. These days, everybody's doing it. There's even a class action suit. Do you know how many tenants you have to fuck over to earn a class action? That's right, all of them. Now, good luck to the plaintiffs, but ever since suing landlords went mainstream, we're just not that into it. Also, we bought a house. Now, we only get fucked over twice a year, on March 1st and September 1st. Really glad we got a house because the rental market in Iowa City keeps tightening up. There's a vacancy rate of 0.6%. 0.6%. That's like having an 8-hour workday with only a 3-minute lunch break. That's a bad analogy for this crowd. Let's try another. On any given Iowa City night, there is a person with a blood alcohol level higher than 0.6%. And his name is Captain Save-A-Ho, Defender of Women. The funniest part of that story was the president of the Iowa Landlords Association saying it wasn't necessarily a landlord's market and they're under intense pressure to update their properties. It's like hearing a Powerball winner bitch about taxes. Shut the fuck up and go count your money. And anybody who makes under $35,000 a year will have trouble finding affordable housing, this report says. The solution? Build a couple more 15-story buildings with condos going for $500,000 and up. Why? Because fuck you, wage slave, that's why. It's worse. Sleazy Iowa City landlord was redefined this year by the guy who was caught peeping on his female tenants in their bathrooms. Before the trial, he was asked about his chances of getting off, and he said, "Oh, I already have." At trial, his defense was because he wasn't aroused, there was no crime. I'm not kidding, that was his defense. Because I'm sure that old men sneak into their income properties, drill holes in bathroom walls, and hide in the attic to not get their rocks off. It's too bad he couldn't afford Johnny Cochran. We could have heard gems like, "If he wasn't doing the strokey, don't send him to the pokey. If there was no erection, not guilty is your selection." Or, "If his pants still fit, you must acquit." You may have heard that the University of Iowa earned the title of #1 party school in the midst of the administration's denials, which were even more vehement than usual. Did somebody talk about a real problem, perhaps? Anyway, in all the denials, we found our party princess. I can't say anything about Vodka Sam that hasn't already been said, except that her use of the YOLO tag, amongst other things, leads me to believe she's not a Buddhist. She didn't get on the field, but Farron should have, yeah, some of these take a while. She didn't get on the field, but Farron should have suited her up and given her the ball, because a football player won't tackle a woman unless he shoots left her a roofie first. The drone protesters came through town this summer. I don't understand what their deal was. If you don't like Brian Eno, just don't listen. Now, they were on a statewide march, because if you're going to protest drone shooting people, the best way to do it is by staying in a small group marching across miles of open farmland. I saw them at the corner of Gilbert and Kirkwood. They couldn't figure out even how to cross the street together. I'm serious, if these people found a traffic circle, they're still there. Von Maur finally moved out of Sycamore Mall to the Iowa River Landing. except make money. Coralville is still a sneaking, greedy, poor credit risk whore of a town growing fatter than a parasite that's hit an artery in a guy with high blood pressure. Actually, I think that analogy is their city plan verbatim. But I can't fault Von Maurer for moving. At Sycamore, they were in the unique position of being the anchor being dragged down by the rest of the boats. The construction over there isn't helping. Live combat zones are easier on the eyes and easier to get through. And the concept of a mall itself, it's pretty much dead. But Sycamore isn't. They still have Radio Shack. The mall version of a coal mine's canary. When a store charging $11.99 for a $2 headphone adapter can't make rent, then it's time to throw in the towel. There is good news. Sycamore is getting a makeover. The renderings look like a major metro suburb from only 5 years ago, which is about 8 years in the future in Iowa City time. It wouldn't be a complete night unless we talked about the ambitiously dumb in Iowa City, and no, I'm not talking about the politicians, at least yet. I'm talking about the criminals, like the guy who stole an iPod and then uploaded pictures of himself to the victim's Facebook page. Or the woman who got a public intox and blew a .462, a new record in the women's division. Or the dumb shits who give their real addresses when they're robbing pizza delivery guys in cabs. Or the woman who said, I'm not against poverty, they don't scare me either. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that wasn't a criminal, that was a city council member. I really should know the difference. One group tries anything and everything to take money and property earned by hardworking citizens. The other has to post bail. Unless there are city council members stealing fruit. The mind-bustingly asinine part of that whole thing is her supporters bleeding, but it was a mistake! The thing is, for people who can't afford to buy their way out, mistakes have consequences. Pull up your pants and be a fucking adult for once. Why is it that people and universities preach personal responsibility but can't do it themselves when the shit gets weird? Nobody and no human creation, especially in this fucking town, is perfect. It's okay to admit it. Or stay in denial, but fucking quit telling other people what they should do. There was only one perfect man who walked this earth, and his name is Kurt Vonnegut. Look, I blew by my 1,000-word limit a couple pages ago, so I'm going to move on to the wrap-up. If there's a common theme in my ramblings tonight, it's stupidity. Landlords greedily enforcing illegal rules? Stupid. Vodka Sam? Stupid. Pathetic criminals? Stupid. City government? A better-dressed version of idiocracy. Von Maurer and Coralville, dumb and dumberer. The guy peeking in on his tenants? Stupid. And in dire need of a blowjob. Given the amazing level of dumb and omnipresent drunken debauchery here in the Athens of the Midwest, we need a new slogan. I've got one, and that'll save the city $80-some thousand they would spend on a municipal marketing firm out of San Francisco, who would form a creative committee to come up with something insipid and mind-numbingly mediocre while we live here in a city full of real, live, starving, awesome fucking writers. Here it is. A wasted mind is a terrible thing. Because when a town has one of the highest per capita rates of college degrees, and all this stupid shit still happens, what else can you say about Iowa City, the nation's best educated town full of dumbasses? My name's PJ Stopper. Thank you very much.
Thank you, PJ. Thank you. As a well-educated dumbass, that really hit home, so I appreciate the shout-out. Our next reader is someone who's should be no stranger to anyone who's lived in this town for a while or follows its politics. He's a former city council candidate, a long time ago, but he also regularly makes his voice heard at city council meetings. He likes to talk and express his mind. Just before we started, I took all of the readers outside and I says, listen, some of you have done this kind of thing before, some of you haven't, but breathe, have fun, take your time, relax. Not you, Gary. We want to pick it up if you ever listen to him talk. You know, Ken Burns has to do rails of Adderall to get through one of his speeches. Garrison Keeler's on the phone, says, pick it up, you know, so. And the interesting thing is that he just sent us a tweet, so it's 140 characters long, but at the rate that he reads, if you need to drink or pee, re-roof your house, run a marathon, now's the time to do it. In the meantime, it's my great pleasure to welcome to the stage a good friend of mine, ladies and gentlemen, Gary Klein.
Howdy. So we're all here, really, wow, my voice is changing, that sucks. We are all here tonight, I think, because we love Iowa City. Isn't that true? We love Iowa City. Yeah, we do. And we love it because of all of its juxtapositions, which for you younger people, it's nothing sexual. Yeah, okay. But here's some cases and points. So, for instance, we love putting retail spaces in every new building downtown, but we hate Coralville because of its crass commercialization. We love these brand new little libraries that are creeping up everywhere. Well, we wonder why we can't return our library books from the big library there. Okay, no one has been to a little library. Books, the festival, and all. Anyway, we love well-educated people here. They make excellent wait staff, test scorers, and roast MCs. All right, rolling along. We love being a progressive community, as long as the progress doesn't include a 20-story building made by non-union labor. We like the idea of the river crossing plan for south of Burlington Street, but calling it the sober neighborhood, that would be kind of ironic. We love our city leaders until they make any decisions at all. We love our school board. Woo! We love the school board. But we also love watching Phil Hemingway yell at them on cable. Okay. We love our extensive trail system and our walkable neighborhoods, but we can't find a parking space downtown because we're all driving there or some restaurant is using it for seating. Yeah, we love our Hawkeyes football team. We like them better, though, if they're in a bowl game. And if that bowl game is in January in a warm climate. Yeah. We love the Sycamore Mall, or as it's now called, the JC's Haunted House. We love frozen yogurt in Iowa City. It is so competitive that Utopia is petitioning the city to keep an urban cow on its premises so it can make that fresh yogurt. All right. love City Park. Yeah. But it rained so much this spring that the Riverside Theater is renaming the festival in the spring Shakespeare in the Pool. Just in case. We love the Co-op, or as it's commonly known, Costco. We love our college students, particularly between the months of May and August, and also when there is an issue of concern to them on the ballot. We love public access TV. Woo, yeah! It breaks up the monotony of watching year-old Friday night concerts on City Channel. 2-year-old? Anyway, we love shopping locally in Iowa City, especially at Costco and Aldi's. We love our bars in Iowa City, as long as they're not attached to a holding cell in the Johnson County Jail. All right, slow burn. And, yeah, and well, hang on. Hang on here. Wow, something got moved. We love the idea of free Wi-Fi downtown, but we fear this is going to lead to the county supervisors uploading naked selfies of themselves on Facebook in front of the Irving Weber statue. Rod Sullivan. And I love Rod, but no. We love bicycles in Iowa City. We love those bicycles. They make attractive hood ornaments on our city buses and canvas. Oh my goodness. And we love recycling in Iowa City so much that Terry Dickens and Susan Mims are rerunning for city council. And speaking of reusing, reducing, and recycling, we love Connie Champion, who's stepping down after 100 years of being in the city council. But you know, her daughter's running, and she plans to campaign with Catherine. Yeah, and I understand that Catherine has actually chosen a Queen song to be her campaign rally song. And you'd think it would be "We Are the Champions," right? No, but she's going with "Tie Your Mother Down." All right. I worked on that one. Okay. So, we love our famous writers. Yeah. We even have beautiful bronze plaques embedded in the city sidewalks in their honor. We kind of think of them as literary tramp stamps. And finally, no, not finally, second to finally, we love the fact that Rodney Cole and Royce Ann Porter and Kingsley Botchway are running for the city council because they're bringing all kinds of new, fresh perspectives and creative ideas that city manager Tom Marcus never will use. And finally, we do love our friends from Little Village. And we should applaud the Little Village people, the Little Village people, especially that little lady. But we should thank them because this is the publication that brings us all together in agreeing that their ad space sales team must be pretty good because otherwise, why does it still be published? Thanks a lot. I'm Gary Klein.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. I certainly hope that Social Security is still solvent because I think I qualify now. But no, that was a great pleasure to meet you. You know, it's funny. He mentioned Little Village. They do a lot of ads, and I guess that's contingent upon what their readership's like. And I remember when I first moved to Iowa City, there'd be a little box like, if you're reading this, so are X, I think it was 10,000 and 12,000 and 17,000, 24,000, and last count it was like 1.6 million people. I wear steel mat. I have to tell you, every time that like a homeless guy takes a big stack out of one of the things down at like Dubuque Street, I don't think those count as new views. So if your advertisers find out, you may have some checks bounced. But in the meantime, I want to welcome to the stage our next reader, somebody who sent in a very smart piece, and she had a very unique perspective on life in Iowa City, because she, like me, is not an Iowa native. And I thought it was very smart, but then I thought about it longer, and I said, she's still here, so I don't know how smart that actually makes her. But it is a great pleasure to welcome to the stage. I want to get this right. It's long enough to be a law firm, ladies and gentlemen. Erica Miranda Bartlett. Please put your hands together for Erica. Thanks.
Hi, this is my first reading, so. My name, as Yale so kindly introduced me, is Erica Miranda Bartlett, and I like to tell people that I'm retired because it gives them that little spit take of cognitive dissonance that lets me say, well, all I do all day is stay home, play with my dogs, and yell at kids to get off my lawn. So. I imported my partner from Texas. Don't do it. So this is in the form of sort of a welcome package for any non-locals in the audience. I'm going to go over some Iowa City customs. I do consider myself an Iowa City native, though I regret to inform you that I was born a Hoosier. But I'm sorry. We did immigrate further west when I was only 2.5. We'll ignore the fact that Pat Buchanan once told me, "You're not Iowan. Why are you here?" Now, before I start this tutorial, I am legally required to say, "Go Hawks!" I've lived in other places sometimes. I've actually lived in all 3 states of California. Smog, fog, and log. But there's really something a little different about Iowa City. Iowa City is a UNESCO City of Literature. And like all successful writers, we will never let you forget it. No one will ever make signs that say, "Keep Iowa City weird," because we do that by ourselves. First of all, when you move here, you should use "Go Hawks" as your transition phrase, because it's a proper response to anything during football season. How are you? Go Hawks! How much is that going to cost us? Go Hawks! Sir, do you know how fast you were going? Once you feel more secure as a true member of the People's Republic of Iowa City, you can drop it and only vaguely refer to the football games as fucking tailgating, man. Which brings me to my second point. Everyone who lives here loves the culture and the verve and the joy and the struggling indie bands and all of the nice lectures brought to us by the university, but we all hate students. If there are any of you in the audience, you can just leave now. Your ID should have been checked at the door. I'm sorry to inform you. They're like deer that we're not legally allowed to hit. And they take all the easy to get to parking, probably. That's why you will notice a very distinct difference if you're driving your car with Johnson County plates as opposed to anywhere else, because we're all in this together. And then if you're from out of town, it's get the fuck out of my way, where are you going? Thanks to Iowa City's one-way streets, roundabouts, and my particular favorite, the streets that stop halfway through a building and then start up again on the other side of the building, they probably don't know where they're going. Getting city requires knowing that just because a street sounds like it connects to another street doesn't mean anything. Also, half of our streets downtown are one way. Have fun! North Lynn Street, where I believe the library is, and South Lynn Street, where the Hamburg Inn is, are connected by a mere metaphor, a path of thought, represented by a walking corridor between Van Allen Hall, where they try to measure reality, and the Spence Laboratories of Psychology, where they try to measure crazy town. Let me just say there are a lot more psychology students than physics students here. Lower Muscatine Road is not actually connected to Muscatine. And by the way, it's Muscatine, not Muscatine Avenue. No, not the city. Speaking of context, you should also know that First Avenue in Iowa City and First Avenue in Coralville are different places. One of them has fast food. The other one has actual places you might want to go. And for my boyfriend, it's not Hayden Fry Way. Just stop calling it that. You're making me want to stab you. I don't care what the signs say. If you are a local in Iowa City and you are single and over the age of 24, I would like to advise you to import your partner. Choose them carefully because we hate people from Chicago. Not even touching that one. If you import them, they might actually get a job once they come here. I personally had the most success with people in hilly areas of southern states. Never rule out Appalachia. The last one I imported from Arizona saw his shadow sometime around Groundhog Day, and I haven't seen him since. With all of this discussion of what it's like, what our traditions are, this sort of introductory, I do want to touch on what it will mean to actually be a local in Iowa City. I find myself sending text messages that say, hey, if you want to come over today before you go to work at the bar, I have a great salad ready, and it's all local produce. You go downtown in January to watch the co-eds wearing 2 inches of clothing fall in the slush. That's fucking hilarious. It's my favorite thing to do. I look forward to it here. You run into people that you know from around town, but you never remember their names. So everybody reintroduces themselves because they're probably either stoned or drunk half the time. Yes, especially the old people. Okay, this one really needs a diagram, but you're on a single lane for a right-hand turn onto a one-way street, and there's a cop there. But you go ahead and you turn into that left-hand lane, which breaks about 5 traffic laws because you're going to need to be in that lane, and the cop just lets you go. And anyone who hasn't driven lately, I've lost, but the point is that they don't do that east of the Mississippi or west of Iowa City, so just be careful. Here's the thing. Having grown up here, I spent 16 years dying to leave. And then I did. I left. I went lots of places. And then I spent years kind of trying to make it back. Because it was when I came back to Iowa City, which I had missed so much living in California, that I realized this is my kind of crazy. I've been to Caracas, London, Seattle, Vancouver, Florida, Louisiana, California, and Texas. I've romanced men and women from Kentucky and Arkansas and Arizona, Colorado, Texas, and the United Kingdom. Remember how I told you this was my first time? This may be the only first I have left. But I've never, not once since I was 18, seriously considered moving for any of them. Iowa City is my kind of crazy. We're in a long-term, love-hate, mutually committed relationship. And as much as I fucking hate it, I love it more. Now that I've said that, baby, we're gonna hit a deer on the way home.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you very much. Our next reader is a gentleman. When he emailed in his submission, he says, "You know me. You see me do comedy at the Yacht Club. We've talked, and I have no recollection of any of that." Which doesn't mean that he wasn't funny. It doesn't mean we didn't talk. It just means I was at the Yacht Club. So he's a gentleman by the name of John West. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. John West.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Well, I love coming back to Iowa City. Iowa City's like an old friend to me. Like, you love it to death, but every once in a while you just gotta kick it in the balls just because it just makes you laugh. There are a lot of writers here in Iowa City, and interestingly enough, that equals the unemployment number here in Iowa City too. I didn't quite know that until I did some searching. So there are a lot of people writing here in Iowa City, between the students and the people who are actually writers. The people who are students here, they're writing based purely on Red Bull and Adderall at all hours of the night. But the writers that say they're writers, they spend all their time during the day writing. It's a really interesting contrast. There's actually no middle ground. There's so many writers here, but it's interesting that not one of them has written a letter to a fraternity telling them to tone it down a little bit. Recently, the university was named the #1 party school in the nation. Yeah, Sally Mason's working on the situation. She's not as much anti-drinking as she is anti-people puking in her front lawn. I imagine her talking to the real estate person before she bought that house and was like, "This is a great house. Are there any downsides?" And the real estate's like, "Well, freshmen walk back that way to go to Hillcrest after every Friday and Saturday night." She's like, "Oh, that's okay. It's not like we'll be the #1 party school during my tenure here, so nothing to worry about." Iowa City is the only place where everyone under 21 goes sprinting out of the bar when someone shouts across the bar for their friend Paula. The university's building a new dorm, which is nice. They need to get a fresh dorm building because all the other ones were having a quote-unquote date rape vibe to them. Yeah, I mean, I walked into Burge the last time I was there, and I thought I was walking into the Summit. It was terrible. Some people think that the homeless people are a problem here. I don't really have a problem with the homeless people. I have a problem sitting on a bench at the Ped Mall. It's like a very awkward situation trying to get into. In 2008, we had a tragic flood here in Iowa City. It's hard to talk about because it washed away a lot, but it didn't wash away the customer service desk at MediaCom. We're getting Hancher back though, which is really nice. It's good to see they hurried that project along. I mean, it's only a matter of time before it gets destroyed again. Not by a flood, but by a runaway CAN bus. Obama comes to Iowa City quite a bit, mostly because the Iowa caucus is pretty nice to him, so I mean, he feels obliged to come back. But it's great seeing him come around. He's really easy to spot, not because of all of the Secret Service or the limos, but when he's here, he's the only black guy on campus not on a sports scholarship. I love the commentary in this. I was a student here at the university, and tuition was really expensive, which was a shame because they couldn't field a decent football team with my tuition. pay the football players, for those who are unaware of this. What's the difference between a Iowa Hawkeye football player and every other hated student on campus? Trick question, there isn't a difference, they're both riding mopeds. And some people think Iowa City is too liberal of a city. To those people I say, hey, are you gonna help me knit these tree sweaters or not? But I owe everything to this city. It gave me my education, it broadened my horizons, and it showed me that I'm really not as weird as I thought I was. This city means the world to me, and thanks for letting me show it in the worst way possible.
Thank you, John. Thank you very much. That's a great pleasure. You know, I just got word. I mentioned before where Dave lives way out in the sticks, and his neighbor had a meth lab, and it blew up, and so Dave didn't have to leave very shortly because his property value just went up, actually, based on where he lives. So as we segue between John and our next performer is actually Ed Butler. He's going to play a song for us. Once again, put your hands together.
For tonight's festivities, I thought I'd dig up a tune that I actually did for the very first roast a couple, 4 years ago. Now, at the time, I was new to these parts, and I'm still technically an out-of-towner living as I do down in Lone Tree. You may have heard the song Clash wrote about us, you know, Lone Tree calling, it's a faraway town, and I live in a cornfield. Maybe you haven't heard it. But anyway, the thing is, being an out-of-towner and basically a nice guy, I really wasn't tuned in to sort of shortcomings that Iowa City is apparently quite famous for. I didn't know about your fear of high-rise apartment buildings, for instance. I didn't know about your penchant for paying way too much for potpourri and bath salts. I mean, sure, you can get it at the Den and it's close, but if you're willing to drive out to North Liberty, they got a lot cheaper at Bed Bath & Beyond, I'm just saying. And of course, you're famous for partying just a little bit more than Willie Nelson on New Year's Eve, or if you like a more up-to-date reference, than Lindsay Lohan on Fat Tuesday. But still, I like the place here, and owing to my ignorance as well as my hopelessly sanguine worldview, and it's really nice to have an audience that I can use words like sanguine with, by the way. The song I came up with is really more of a toast than a roast, but you can just sort of think of it as a sort of musical sorbet to cleanse your palate between the sort of astringent fare that we're getting from everybody else tonight. It's called Say I See. Frisco's got its Soma district, New York's got its Soho. Seem to me that folks around here are every bit as boho. We could use an acronym, and some folks might find silly. But sitting south of I-80, we could call this district SUI. S-O-I-E for SUI. Where Highway 1 meets Highway 6, and the hipsters hobnob with the hicks. You got bookstores, bars, politics, mixed for one darn heady mix at 52240 through 52246. We are friendly folks, Midwesternly charming, so educated it's almost alarming. Open your eyes to Iowa City and then you'll say, I see. Have to be some kind of cynic, not like gauze on a mechanic. Visiting teams enjoy pink lockers, local fans get good and snocker, and we control teams' destinies. While with folks at Pearson and ACT, writing their tests, training their proctors, and way across town there's a boatload of doctors. I like the fact that it's hard to find a defender of cold-blooded, out-of-date attitudes as to one's gender. Where Highway 1 meets a Highway 6, the hipsters hobnob with the hicks. You got bookstores, bars, and politics. Mixed for one darn heady mix at 52240 52246. We are clever folks, domestically charming, so educated it's almost alarming. Open your eyes to Iowa City and then you'll say, I see. If you're looking for some exotic tone, you can probably find it here. We like our books, we are UNESCO's fourth city of literature. Along with Edinburgh, Dublin, and Melbourne, I wouldn't have guessed them either. Talk about it amongst yourselves, I'll take a little breather. Well, visiting those workshop writers write their stories while eating their tacos ambulatory. Shakes that dames are smooth and creamy. Oh, Yama serves up some mean sashimi. Heidi's got takeout, chicken cashew, and Goose Town's got a haunted statue. There's good musicians and me as well. Come down and hang out for a spell. Gets a little sloppy when a 100-year flood appears. I wouldn't worry too much, they only come right every 15 years. Where Highway 1 meets Highway 6, the hipsters hobnob with the hicks. You got the bookstores, bars, politics. It's like Heracles in Athens, but out in the sticks. You know, it makes for a one-headed mix at 52240. 52246. We are friendly folks, Midwestern charming, so educated it's almost alarming. So open those eyes to Iowa City, said point your peepers at Iowa City, use your visual cortex on Iowa City, and then you'll say, I see.
Thank you. I don't know what the soda mic's going to do for me now, a sonogram or something like that. But you know, I mentioned earlier, I misspoke that Dave was going to have to leave. He is, but I promised him when he so generously agreed to come and join us that, you know, we comp him his meals and stuff like that. But then the trumpet blossom just says, hey, if you don't stay for the whole program, Dave, we're going to charge you for those fries. And he only has $72 on him. So he is going to sing for his supper. He's going to play one song for us before he goes, and we'll take a little tiny break after he's done. So put your hands once again, ladies and gentlemen, for the one, the only, Dave Zollo. Thank you.
That's a good one. Gotta put on the spot. Well, that was the greatest song I've ever heard in my life. If somebody doesn't adopt that as Iowa City's theme song, stupidity is the theme of the day. We should carry one of those with us, Coop. Brian and I have been working with our band Body Electric on a record for 10 years now. It's just about done, finally. I'm going to play the title song off this upcoming record for you. I got some trouble a while back and I wrote about it. This is a story about it. Don't know stay. Burn up the powers and a terrible rain. The rest of my time spent waiting on fate to pay my visit. My heart don't beat much, so I leave it alone. Got nothing to do, worrying on my bones. Sometimes I think I live in a crib I don't home, but is it? Call me up, I'll give you what you want. My rock weary and a little gone. I'm afraid of a ghost, I got no place to home. And even if I did, I would not haunted. When I came down that mountain, was a terrible fall. Landed on my back, no breath to call it. Even if there would have been anyone around, I would not let them. My bones are mended, but my heart is not fixed. Modern medicine, they come up with them tricks. I wander around, trying to find some kiss where I can get them, where I can get them. Call me up, I will cut you a deal. My work for drinks, maybe a meal, it's the only way left for me to feel. If you wanna call the shit I'm doing, feel it. Sometimes I bring the boys along for the ride. They do not like it, but it's cash on the side. The only problem is no place to hide with go time. All of the pimps, pushers, junkies come around when they hear my band's in town. We never ever put them down at the showtime. No, 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 no time. Call me up, come right away. Go to the motions, collect my pay. Might stick around if you got something to say. This ain't really a job, it's more like stealing. Thank you very much, everybody. And all the other good, nobody like that as well.
A lot of people don't know this story, so I'm going to go ahead and tell it right now. But anybody here know how Little Village got its name?
No.
All right. David and his wife Beth, who was the production manager of Little Village when it first started, and a bunch of other people that were around Little Village when it first started, which is a wonderful story in itself. It started because the paper that preceded it got bought out by a big publishing house, and a couple months later it got shut down because it wasn't profitable enough. So they were all hanging out trying to figure out what they were going to call it. And there's this Sonny Boy Williamson song that Dave liked, and it was about a little town and the classic recording situation where the bluesman is sitting there in front of the mic and the production people are like, "Oh, what's the name of the song?" It's like, it's not a little town, it's a little village. What do you mean? What do you mean it's a little village? Yeah, you can name it your Mary if you want to, it's a little So he screamed that out from the other room to try to kill the conversation. They said, well, I guess we're going to call it Little Village. We dropped the motherfucker. All right. Where are you?
I'm right here, son.
Okay, so if anybody is looking to hit the Tom Snyder show tonight, Dave Zollo is going to play with Tom. He's in his band, and they're gonna be at the Englert. So he's going to unplug and bring his rig, is what they call it in the industry. Yeah. And yeah, Yale's back. All right, thanks. Dave Zollo, one more time.
Thank you very much, Dave. I don't have the mic. I had a whole bunch of dick jokes prepared that were actually going to be told by my dick, but I'll have to stick together tonight. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to the show, taking over for the second half or fourth or whatever it is, Josh Carroll, local guy, drummer extraordinaire, very talented artist. You may have seen he did that great graphic novel about the Englert, and he regularly contributes to Little Village magazine. It is a little village. Everybody puts their own talents into magazines. One of my favorite things about it. Our next reader, I read his piece, and it used the term MILF in it, and I didn't know what that meant. I looked it up. I always thought it meant most interesting lady friend. It's actually something else, and I got into a conversation about it because it triggered a memory. You know, I've done a lot of repression of those, but I do remember talking to friends in high school about, oh yeah, so-and-so's mom's MILF, and I got thinking, like, is it just like any woman who's a mother, or any woman with a child of any age, or do they have to be of a certain age? And I think it boiled down to, no, it has to be someone that you'd like to, who's old enough chronologically to be your mother. And I started thinking about it, and like that, for me anyway, that list kind of begins and ends with Sigourney Weaver. So that's about it, and that's a perfect segue for him, because our next reader does have a lot of experience with ectomorphic, parasitic, life-draining things, because he's a high school teacher. And I want to welcome to the stage a good friend of mine, one of my favorite ball people in Iowa City. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Lindsay.
Thank you, Yale. That's probably the nicest thing he's ever said about me. Josh is in the house. I brought my own. He's actually my rim shot artist, so this will have plenty of rim shots in it, so bear with me. First and foremost, those of you who can't see, I do have a little confession to make. This is the first time I've had this t-shirt for 5 years. It was my own t-shirt company, and it says, it's the first time I've worn it in public, so this is my unveiling. It says, fuck euphemisms. Oh, I get it. Euphemisms, fuck them. Okay. Now, this may surprise you that considering any given football Saturday, I should say, you'd be hard-pressed not bumping into a stumbling member of the Hawkeye chapter of the zombie apocalypse, who, by the way, is donning a fuck this week's opponent here t-shirt. So, I'm embarrassed to take my kids downtown on Saturday just because of that. So, yesterday I thought I would, some of you may have seen me walking around the book festival. I'm the one who had the fuck Idol t-shirt. He was like, fuck Idol, what's Idol? Yeah. Alright. That said, I didn't need an occasion to wear this shirt, so I'm like, how can I get this? And I decided I will pen a roast that fits this occasion, so it merits such. This roast, by the way, is going to be dedicated to Niall Kinnick's first, Gloria. And their bastard child, Yale. And it's called 50 Shares of Iowa City. Now first I'm going to start with a question. How many of you here, and I've already heard it tonight so I know it's true, have been fucked by a corporation? Just one, really? Come on, I'll wait. Really, come on. Everybody raise your hands, humor me.
You live in this country.
Yeah, everybody. There, I got a cheerleader. The fuck corporation cheerleader, alright. Believe me, I can feel your pain, because every month when I pay my mortgage, and Bank of America lines up to pull a train on my 30-year fixed ass. Ever since the court molested the 14th Amendment of the Constitution and gave corporations the same legal rights as a person, corporations have been bending us over and fucking us. Yes, even in Iowa City. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate corporations. Some of my best friends are corporations. Snaps up, I feel like that guy Kurt in Glee or something. Truth be told, I have a secret fetish for not MILFs, Yale, but kills. Corporations I like to fuck. In fact, if it ever incorporated itself, I'd start by fucking our host, Trumpet Blossom Cafe. It's bad enough going to work the next day reeking of corporate sex, but smelling like Trumpet Blossom Cafe sex has a certain je ne sais quoi to it. Besides, that's better than my college days here in Iowa City and my default after-sex corporate cologne, L'eau de Joe's Place bathroom sex. That said, I came up with a list of kills. Now, I'm going to say corporations. Some of them are companies, some of them are co-ops, and I'm just going to throw the big C out there. Alright, first we're going to start with a co-op, and New Pioneer Co-op. They're at the top of the list. Sporting the bedroom nickname, New Pie. What's not to love about a company where every member gets a piece? Even Coralville wanted in on the organic orgy action and inspired by the Field Dream catchphrase, if you build it, they will come. Opened a new store in 2001, and residents have been coming there ever since. And now, the New Pie wants to upgrade its store and work the corner of College and Gilbert in the proposed Chauncey building, whose future owners, the Moen Group, were excluded from this kill list. I mean, seriously, have you seen the size of their buildings? I'll let that settle in, so you're probably shock and awe there. The proposed Chauncey building is so big that concerned citizens have formed a group, the Iowa Coalition Against the Shadow, to put a stop to its pending erection. As the name suggests, people are more afraid of the shadow of Iowa City's newest public phallic symbol will cast than the building itself. Now we know how John Holmes co-stars must feel when the shadow eclipsed the set. Now, despite their efforts, however, the erectile dysfunctional city council unanimously pushed their big building through. We'll pause here for what's this? I don't even know what it's called. Never mind. Alright, this first category is makeup sex. Speaking of tips or tax incentive fucking, Iowa City needs some makeup sex with Von Mar. Then again, that overpriced slut is a perfect fit for its new Tiff sugar daddy, Coralville. Alright, next category is, we all know this, revenge fucks. And I have to start just from personal experience with, and it's the University of Iowa Hospital. Woo, give it up, yeah. Alright, UI Hospital is like an auto mechanic when it comes to rear-ending its customers. You tow your broken down ass, just kicked my water over, sorry. Now I'll be really thirsty later. We'll start from the top. UI Hospital is like an auto mechanic when it comes to rear-ending its customers. You tow your broken ass down ass in, they fix you up only to fuck you later when your bill shows up in the mail. Worse, instead of some after-sex pillow talk, they fuck you from behind one more time when you're leaving the parking ramp. Those of you who've left there know what I'm talking about. Oh sure, they validate your parking pass, their version of their reach around, but trust me, it's not a happy ending. The UI Hospital has fucked so many people they're building their own children's hospital to house all their bastard children. By the way, did you know that the UI Hospital has the biggest art collection in the state of Iowa? Yes, this is true. Look it up. I did it on Wikipedia. Although I find it disappointing that their collection does not include a Robert Mapplethorpe photograph of the UI's charitable arms shoved up our collective asses. Speaking of which, because Robert Mapplethorpe is a very popular segue in New York City in the late 70s, When I went in for surgery earlier this year, the doctor asked if I was covered for the procedure. Not sure, I said. You may want to ask Wellmark's invisible hand when you remove it from my ass. And one other revenge fuck, I revenge fucked the Johnson County Republicans, but they spend all day nearing corporate headquarters and are too busy fucking themselves. The Tea Party is the new circle jerk. Now with the government shutdown, they're all abstaining from getting themselves off. Next category is pity fucks. And we'll start with Press Citizen. Now, the advantage of virtual fucking one of Gannett News' bastard children is that, thanks to online access, not only do you not have to pay for it, you no longer have to worry about the pages sticking together. Don't worry, by the time PC's lone reporter of the apocalypse covers this joke, it'll be buried in the obits. And by the way, he was sitting right there and he left, so he's still around here. Bigger, the next category is bigger is not always better. Alright, for people who are into big corporations, there's always the dependable BBW. Big, beautiful Walmart. Ah yes, Walmart will always be there for you at last call, seducing you with its flashing everyday low prices. Hello, baby. Next page. The advantages of fucking Walmart are accessibility and familiarity. Walmart's there for you around the clock, and once you enter, you always know where to find everything. Before you enter, however, you have to get by the greeter. An old, flaccid codger propped up by the entrance, which serves as a limp, phallic reminder that one day you will no longer have sex. And because it's understaffed, that pun's for you, Gary. The upside to fucking Walmart is that it takes forever. And while waiting to check out, the old cash registers start playing that makeshift porn backdrop music. If anything, to help distract you from all the byproducts of bad Walmart sex who are standing in line in front of you. And Sam Walton forbid behind you. And then begins the long walk of shame to your car in the Walmart parking lot. We've all been there and we've all done that. Then there's Kmart. Kmart, on the other hand, is too high maintenance to fuck. Not only can you never find anything in Kmart, there's nobody there to give you a helping hand. No thanks, if I wanted self-service, I would have stayed home, ordered online, and serviced my own fucking self. You go in there, you look for somebody, you gotta go find it, then you gotta go up, you gotta ring it up on the cash register, then you gotta pay for it, then you gotta run your own fucking card, and then you gotta go back, and then you gotta go back there and say, aisle 5, we need a mop. Alright, here's just a short list. They have a list of kilts in Iowa City that just made it on their own by just their name itself. Alright, this is for the men, I say that. First on the list is Molly's Cupcakes. Second is New Pie, for obvious reasons up above. And last but not least is a guy favorite, especially in Iowa City, is Come and Go. Now for the ladies, we can't leave them out. I had to include the Moen group, for obvious reasons. And for the same obvious reasons, we have the Wedge. Excluded from the kill list by name alone are all resale shops, or what I like to call sloppy seconds, such as Play It Again, Second Act, and this one's what Stuff, etc. What the fuck are we getting into there? I don't want to know. And obviously, for obvious reasons, Ragstock. Alright, next on the list is Deadwood. Then we got Duds and Suds, Cold Stone Creamery, Dirty John's, Procter and Gamble, my favorite pub, Two Dogs, and finally we have Iowa City's version of the classic Willie Nelson joke. What's the last thing you want to hear while giving Bob a blowjob? Bob's your uncle. And for those of you who are not into vanilla corporate sex and are looking for something a little more risque, there's always the Iowa City Chamber of Commerce, where all your fantasies can be fulfilled for the right price. To all those of you who are concerned out there or worried that rampant corporate fucking will spread in Iowa City, don't you fret. It won't be long before the Iowa City Council passes an ordinance that bans corporate fucking in the Ped Mall. Although corporations will still be allowed to keep on fucking us with no restrictions or fear of impunity. So the next time you're downtown, bending over for a kilt, you may want to keep an eye open for a corporate fuck-free zone sign before it's too late, or Yale Cohn sneaking up on you. Alright, I'd like to thank our sponsor tonight and remind everybody that it takes a little village to fuck a corporation. That's all.
Wow! That was pretty filthy, wasn't it? Hang on a second. You never be too safe. Anyway, we do of course live in a town of writers, as everyone has mentioned before. When I was downtown this afternoon getting some coffee, it was a writer who gave me my coffee. Your servers this evening, writers. I have a plumber coming tomorrow. Actually, no, that's not a writer because it takes actual skill and talent to be a plumber. But all those writers, memoirs are not at all uncommon. They're about as common as a Hills Bank pen, it seems like. And so our next reader is a gentleman by the name of Craig Jarvis, who wrote a very brief and abbreviated memoir of his own about life in Iowa City. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for the one, the only, Craig Jarvis. Welcome to the stage.
Well, this is an essay in the first person, although it is completely fictional. So if it is a memoir, it's a very warped one. None of this ever happened. But it was my way, it was the narrative way of tying together Iowa City and its landmarks and its characters. At 7 o'clock a.m., my clock radio blasts WSUI. I hear national and statewide news through a public radio lens. It's informative, but I missed hearing Al's voice, knowing he was broadcasting nearby, seeing what I was seeing. Now I hear a disembodied voice tell me the weather for Cedar Rapids, Cedar Falls, Iowa Falls, Rock Falls, Mason City, Orange City, Polk City, Central City, Charles City, Forest City, Sioux City. Was Iowa City in there somewhere? Now I only hear a local voice when Julie hosts on the weekends. I am uncertain of the Iowa City weather, so I take my I'd rather be reading sweatshirt I bought at the Iowa City Book Festival and head for the new Pioneer Co-op. As I drink a cup of fair trade coffee, I count and compare the errors between the Press Citizen and daily Iowa newspapers. It's a good day for up-and-coming journalists, as the DI has a slightly lower error count of 3 compared to 5 in the Press Citizen. But I may change my point system because 2 of the DI errors are in the headlines. That should count for more, don't you think? In the Press Citizen, I read that the Little Village free weekly paper is accepting submissions for its roast of Iowa City, poking fun at the town we inhabit. I think that's something I could do, pick up my backpack and head for the bus stop. I board a City of Iowa City bus driven by Eli, who tells me he has a PhD in comparative literature. He tells me about the history of Jewish literature in Mexico and Argentina. I tell him about my idea of writing a day in the life of Iowa City essay. When I get off the bus downtown, Eli calls through the open bus door, "Good luck on your writing project." I see protesters gather in the few remaining square yards of sunny space on the Ped Mall. They are objecting to the city giving permits to any buildings taller than the old Capitol Dome. I stop to watch the protesters and wave to Gary, who is among the protesters. As we talk, I tell him I have a job, but only work 29 and a half hours a week, so my employer doesn't have to give me benefits. He says, "We should meet for lunch at the Hamburg Inn and talk about the plight of the working man and your day-in-the-life writing project." Our conversation is interrupted when we notice one of the protesters is having a seizure. He has the bad luck of collapsing on a bench and is promptly given a $65 fine for lying down in the Ped Mall before 10 p.m. I walk onto Prairie Light's bookstore and ask Paul about books on essay writing. Paul gets an impish grin on his face and scampers to the back of the store and returns with a book clutched in his hand as if he has found a golden nugget. I thank Paul and take my book to Tim at the front counter. As I am paying, Tim tells me that Riverside Theater is accepting monologues for their Walking the Wire performance. I meet Gary at the Hamburg Inn and we talk about the lack of child labor regulations in Bangladesh. I tell him I am stumped about ideas for my Iowa City writing project. He suggests I just write about my daily experience in the Seinfeld mold. That is, an essay about nothing. I thank Gary for his advice and return to the Ped Mall to read my book. While sitting near the Iowa Artisans Gallery, I am approached separately by two pharmaceutical sales representatives. One looks like he hasn't slept or bathed in days. He says he has some Molly for sale, which I politely decline. The other drug dealer looks like she was a University of Iowa cheerleader, but is now wearing a suit that costs more than 2 months' rent. She has a meeting at the Papa John Pavilion at the University of Iowa Hospital, but has mistakenly gone to the Papa John Business Building. As I'm giving directions to the former Spirit Squad member, I set my backpack on the ground. A police officer rides up on his bike and cites me for keeping personal items in a public space and fines me $65. I work my 5.5-hour shift, then go to John's Grocery and ask Wally to recommend a good Argentinian wine for under $3. All the money I have left after paying my $65 fine. I need a shot of courage because I'm pitching my day in the life of Iowa City monologue idea to Ron and Jody at the Riverside Theater. When I get there, Tim, who I saw at Prairie Lights, has the rapt attention of half a dozen people by doing a dramatic soliloquy that has everyone in tears. When I think about my hacky day in the life of Iowa City project, I'm so embarrassed that I slip out the door, go across the street to Dave's Foxhead and order a Pabst Blue Ribbon. The bartender has a master's in social work diploma hanging behind the bar. So I'm guessing he's a good listener. I talk about my writing project, and he tells me about a spoken word event at Uptown Bill's on Wednesdays. I hustle down to the corner of Dubuque and Lafayette Streets where I can try out my day in the life of Iowa City essay. I sign up to read at spoken word night, and when I'm done, Tom says if my essay is good enough, I may be able to read it during the roast of Iowa City at the Trumpet Blossom Cafe. And I say, that would make my day in Iowa City complete.
Greg, I know you were at Easter. I'm going to have to check them out sometime. I've heard good things about them. But our next reader, second last one, is a good friend of mine by the name of Todd Jackson. And not only is he a writer, but he and his boyfriend, Brent Johnson, I don't know if they're actually together, but if you ever see the one, the other's close behind is kind of like deer crossing the highway, and also like deer, neither of them are smart enough to use the signs and walk in that spot, but they have their own press here in Iowa City, one of the very few, if not the only, local fiction publishing houses. Slow Collision Press, and they very generously give me everything they published, and I'm eternally grateful for it, because they were just the perfect size to prop up my dining room table. So, welcome to the stage, ladies and gentlemen, Todd Jackson.
First of all, thanks to Yale for inviting me. Little known fact, as the show kind of gets to an end, and I know we all want to hug him, that's not a beer on the face, it's black mold. Leakage while he's out of town. Also, thanks to the Trumpet Blossom for holding this wonderful event where we get to celebrate our little drunk tank of a city. Does anybody here remember the shirtless kid that got arrested just before school started this year? position were you in when you talked to the officer? Was it kind of, was it like this? With, you know, you're not putting your hand up because you don't want to look drunk by blocking the flashlight from your eyeball? That was what happened to me. And, you know, up until July, I would have made fun of you, but now I really can't. Yeah, I got tagged leaving Gabe's. I was at a show leaving Gabe's. It was Friday night, but magically turned at 2:30 on a Saturday morning. I was at the corner of Iowa and Washington, which is 8 feet from the police station. I was genius. If you've never been to this corner at night, you need to go down there because it's so well lit that it could be a townie. I know. I was waiting for a rim shot. Help me out a little bit. Anyway, so I was able to go down to the Johnson County Courthouse, and they gave me a lovely nut-hugging orange jumpsuit, and I spent the night with a guy that, well, I didn't spend the night, but, you know, bunk beds. We were in bunk beds. Anyway, he, innocently enough, was drunken fishing when someone stole his car and rolled it a mile down the street. Allegedly. Also in our cell G, anybody here from cell G? Just me, okay. Can't believe nobody else was there. Anyway, there were also some guys that knew each other from the dorms, and one of them had a birthday, so they decided to celebrate with fake IDs, drinking, an argument in an alleyway that led to 4 arrests, and a dumpster broadsiding a cop car. None of them were exactly sure how that happened. Anyway, the whole thing pissed me off so much that I just quit drinking altogether. And driving too, for that matter, though that was less my choice. So here I am, capable of standing on one foot even this late on a Sunday. And let me tell you something. Being sober in Iowa City right now is fucking punk rock. It's like 7th level vegan. It's like being part of the Underground Railroad that you don't really want to talk about, but you feel proud. Yeah. In a strange and adverse way, it's like running moonshine back during the days of Prohibition. It's some hardcore shit is what I'm trying to say. And let me tell you something else. It is fucking boring. Oh my God, there is nothing to do. Nobody is interesting. Except for everyone out here. That's it. The thing is, I've been working since I was 14, and I had never imagined being sober. I mean, what the fuck do you do on a Friday night? Or all day Saturday, Sunday, weekdays? Speaking of Saturday, it's tailgating season, which I never understood even when I was drinking heavily on Saturday mornings. I mean, the whole thing just sounds like, well, first of all, you're up there in a parking lot, where do you take your morning crap? Alright. The whole thing just sounds like a drunken cattle yard to me. And I think drinking up on that hill by the hospital gives everyone a false sense of security. They're like, hell, I'm only 600 yards from a stomach pump. Why not have another beer? Yeah. Who gives a shit that you're 43, out of drinking shape, and you still have to drive 2 hours back to West Des Moines after the game? Alright, let's be serious here, just for a minute. Going with this tailgating theme. If Hawkeye fans would just spend half the money they spend on those shitty, watery-ass 30 packs of beer on position players, they'd have a good team. If you think about the number of offensive linemen in the NFL that used to be Hawkeyes, it'd be fantastic. I mean, these people are just going to piss it out or puke it out or spill it down the front of their Lucky Game shirt anyway. They just as well go to buy a poor kid with good hands and 4.3 speed a Mercedes. There are some people here. You know, I imagine more people tonight up here would be talking about the epic 3-4-1 chick. We all know who it is. You know, they thought she was out there rushing the game, but she was actually too early, so she didn't even know where the game was. But I personally think that she should get that tattoo. I mean, something that she can look at and remember from college. And I mean, it's not like she's going to get a giant 3-4-1 tattoo on her back or anything. It's not like she's impetuous or prone to bad decisions. No, I really think she should do it because honestly, as a former drinker, and a couple times I would say I had drunk, I think it was incredible that she was still standing. I mean, I've seen plenty of chicks go down well before that, and not in a good way. All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you. Like I said at the beginning, I was out of town for a while, but I did follow that vodka Sam story quite closely. What I found most interesting about it was normally in Iowa City when a blackout drunk white girl tries to take on half the football team at once, it's the football players that get arrested. But last but not least, I'd like to welcome to the stage Tyler Sandersfeld. He wrote a great piece about food, which is so fitting because I've been standing here as they've been walking this great smelling food back and forth, and my appetite's really gotten up, and I can't wait to get the fuck out of here and go to the Vine and have a bacon cheeseburger because I'm American. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Tyler Sandersfeld. He works behind the scenes at BTV. He writes the questions for The Smartest Iowan, and he asked me to host, and I told him I'm neither smart nor an Iowan, but he said it's a television show, you're Jewish, that's all the qualifications we need. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyler Sandersfeld.
You know, it's always really, really nice to be introduced by a hilarious comedian named after a very respectable university. So I just have to say, Yale, if you find anyone like that, have them come down here. I want to introduce me sometimes, okay? So, when I heard about the roast of Iowa City, you know, I got really excited about it. I asked everyone I knew who was involved with it, so tell me about this roast of Iowa City. Is it going to be beef, lamb, or pork? But then I realized it's not going to be that kind of roast. After all, it's being hosted by a vegan restaurant. I mean, what are they going to give us, roast whole turkey? Still, I don't want to be too hard on our host restaurant. They're the only nice full vegan restaurant left in town since the previous one got torn down by a land developer so enamored by Iowa City, she jumped ship as soon as the red avocado got guacamole. But luckily for the granola munching denizens of Iowa City, who love to pat themselves on the back whenever they buy the right foods, we still have New Pioneer Foods Co-op. Seriously, the air of pretentiousness in New Pie is thicker than organic, sustainable, low sodium, locally grown homemade pea soup, which costs $10 in your left phone per pint. Or if you'd rather, you can do all your seasonal shopping at the farmer's market to be corn from New Pie in the Chauncey Swan Park. Your organic, sustainable, sodium, locally grown homemade parking ramp. You can get everything at the farmer's market. You can get vegetables, meats, ugly tie-dye t-shirts, baked goods, breakfast, and pressure in deciding the latest petition discussing whatever the latest little bullshit causes. But you know what I really, really love about Iowa City's food scene is just how diverse the restaurants are, even in a small area, kind of like the Clinton, Jefferson, Washington, the Dubuque, and Iowa block of buildings downtown. Because on one corner, you have Pancheros, a fast food Tex-Mex restaurant most people go to for its burritos. On the complete opposite corner of the block, you have Atlas, a fine dining establishment most people go to for their burritos. And you know, the moment I see that colorful exterior, reminiscent of the national symbol of a nice European country, and then think about the dark, almost foreboding interior that thinks it's better than it really is, I immediately think only of Greece. But enough about Pemberton. Honestly, if I wanted to talk about an aging landmark restaurant that primarily attracts folks who identify with the fact that it refuses to to change or update anything, I could just rant about Polyized Pizza. But I don't think that means Polyized is a conservative's dream restaurant. After all, Polyized is so liberal, they're the only pizza joint in town that's environmentally conscious enough to reduce their carbon footprints by not hiring delivery drivers. But really, they're just compensating for the greenhouse gases emitted by people eating at Oasis Falafel. I mean, have you eaten it there? It's like they put chickpeas in every single menu item. Then they're even in the coffee, and no one wants to see chickpeas in the coffee unless it's a little village headline about a disgruntled female Java House employee. Just chickpeas in the coffee. And let's go. Yes! Thank you. Thank you very much. Urine jokes always seem to work. Why do you think Chicago still got such a great comedy scene? And let's go further south up North Side by talking about the Holy Trinity, not just because they're next to a Catholic church, of Lynn Street Cafe, Devotee, and Motley Cow. 3 restaurants forever in the circle jerk, trying to figure out which one has the smallest dick and can charge the most for it. And while we're on the subject of overpriced fancy pants restaurants that think they're better than they really are, let's talk about 126. With every new venture the owners open up, they get just a little less highbrow, you know, from the super fancy 126 to the slightly less fancy Hearth upstairs to the much less fancy Moonrakers. Give them a few years and we'll expect the grand opening of their newest restaurant, 126 McDonald's. Hopefully there, at least the burgers will be made with locally raised pink slime. And speaking of burgers, we also have the super local Shorts Burger and Shine here, where the space inside really lives up to its name. Seriously, the kind of patron who would eat there on a regular basis would have an easier time fitting into a smart car than through the door. I take a Dundee and fries, please. And while we're on the subject of restaurants and long, thin spaces, you know the real reason why... That wasn't a joke. I am, but that wasn't. You know the real reason why Iowa City got its #1 party, like University of Iowa, I should say, got its #1 party school designation? It's not the bars, it's not the house parties. The judges of that survey, all they had to do was walk into Mesa Pizza. I mean, never mind the day glow worms on the wall that would make Cheech and Chong do a double take. I mean, just look at the pizza. It's like the cooks there go to the wildest storm party every night, binge on the offerings of other good restaurants, go back to Mesa, puke on a crust, and settle for $3.50 a slice. Okay, that's not true, but even if it was, it would still be better than Pizza on the Butte or Pizza Pod or whatever bullshit name they call that now. I mean, someone called Gordon Ramsay on that place. The only people who can stomach that combination of sawdust and goop they call a white whole wheat crust pizza are hipsters who only do it ironically. I mean, and we see we have quite a few hipsters here tonight. It's the Baxter staple. But really, anyone with a dream of a new revolutionary eatery like a whole wheat crust or vegan restaurant or whatever the line is, full service, snack shop, whatever you want to do, if it's new and revolutionary, you can come to Iowa City and open your own frozen yogurt shop. Because I bet the city, I mean, we have 3 downtown, we have one on by Regina. We have one going up into the Sycamore Dead Mall now. I mean, I bet the city now has more froyories than Brothers Bar and Grill has Paula citations. Still, that means no matter where you go in town, you have the opportunity to pick up some delicious frozen yogurt sundaes. Or alternatively, you could go to Orange Leaf. I'm not even sure they can qualify as yogurt. And even more ubiquitous than frozen yogurt here in Iowa City, sandwich shops, especially in the downtown right outside the opening of the Ped Mall. You've got Subway, Mabas, Which, Jimmy John's, and now Nodo, all within a few steps from each other, which is pretty appropriate because it takes even fewer steps to make one of these $8 bombs. I mean, honestly, it's just a bunch of cold cuts, cheese, and cheap vegetables stuffed into a packed-in log of sawdust they call bread by minimum wage workers, or or to use the Iowa City terminology, holders of bachelor's degrees in philosophy. Now even John's Grocery has a deli now, along with their new robust gluten-free section, which is called their wine selection. Honestly, John's Grocery is the only grocery store in town that is less than 50% groceries, with everything else being the reason why you eat all those groceries in this drunken stupor before you get home. In the end, though, all of these eateries are wonderful in their flawed way. I mean, I go to them pretty much every night. Sad. Here in Iowa City, there are only two ways to run a successful place to eat. You have to either provide great food, good service, and a cozy atmosphere to a very well-educated crowd, or you can be a university dining hall. Thank you, and stay hungry. If you ever have a chance to try the vegan pizza here, do so. It's actually pretty dang good.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you very much. What a fun night this was. How a big round of applause for you. This town really is about, this event really is about you and all your foibles and neuroses, which are really quite serious. We should talk to somebody about it. But also, of course, big thanks to Dave Zollo and Brian Cooper who are here, and then, of course, the lovely, talented Josh Carroll for jumping in, and our good friend Jason Smith from PATV who's been filming this for us, so you can watch it again, and all your friends who missed it, didn't get a chance to see it. A big hand for me, because I'm not doing this for my health. On your way out, if you want to support Little Village, which this is a little village. Look at all the diverse group of folks that contributed in one form or another to this. Matt is in the back selling t-shirts, or if you're feeling really brave, you can buy a hoodie, and I promise if George Zimmerman encounters you wearing a Little Village hoodie, the worst that's going to happen is you're going to end up on Instagram. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been fun, and we will see you next year.